bronche, that's how we say brunch.
Here's to the ladies who say basic with their lunch.
You want that bochinche?
Paquete con pinche, you hear what they said?
Not too busy, glasses clinking.
Aquí en esta mesa se respeta como ñón.
Si la copa está llena, yo te doy la bendición.
So what if we get ratchet?
We from the Bronx.
That's it.
Don't get it twisted.
We be going to Manhattan. Be a queen.
Be a boss.
Ladies who brunch and pop it off.
Hey, we pop and pop it off. We pop.
All right. The episode's about to start.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ladies Who Bronche. I'm Julissa.
What's good, everybody? This is Skittles. And today we have the Latina, hilarious, drag queen extraordinaire. If you've been down to Stonewall, you've been down to Hell's Kitchen, you've seen this bitch working.
Grace Papaya.
Grace
ARI KIKI, who the fuck are you?
Hey. Mayor of Dallas BBQ on 23rd and 8th.
Get it.
Yes, come on, Hennessy Wings.
I haven't been to BBQs in a minute.
I'm going on Thursday. I haven't been in a minute.
Oh, I haven't been in a minute either. I love their wings.
They're so like ginormous.
Yeah.
No, they're those
Oh
stairway
yeah,
chickens.
those are the stairway chickens.
Yeah.
I love getting I love getting the chicken and then having the Hennessy sauce on the side.
Smart.
Because it's like
It's
the
too
chicken
much.
tastes
It's
good by
excessive.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
They be like,
Right.
I'm very particular about getting my fingers messy.
Yes.
I'm particular getting my fingers messy and eating anything with bones in public.
Yeah.
I'm always like, Caucasian. I'm not that bold to fork and knife it, but I'm like borderline.
Right. But I always appreciate the one friend who breaks that mold, because then I'd be like, listen, if this bitch is doing it,
Bye.
Yes.
and then you get up all in that shit.
Get in it.
That's why you need friends like Cardi. I feel like Cardi is out here sucking on chicken bones.
Yeah.
Well, her, when she gets the whole seafood thing.
Yes.
I want her to do a full ASMR moment where her just like
Just right.
Oh my God.
let me use my veneers.
Right. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is ARI KIKI by night. It's Marty by day. I am New York's Latina hot mess. I've been doing drag for 10 years in June. I am Puerto Rican and Cuban.
Wepa.
Born and raised in New York, Manhattan specifically. I have siblings. I have 2 younger brothers and 2 older brothers. My parents are retired in Puerto Rico. I work with 2 of my brothers at my day job, which we'll not discuss at the moment. I work at Stonewall Inn. I've been there for about 6 years. I'm considered the unofficial house queen there.
Nice.
And I also work at Phoenix Bar on the Lower East Side and Gym Bar in Chelsea.
Nice.
And I have kids. I have many kids.
Yeah, shout out to the House of Kiki.
But I take care of them unlike some drag mothers.
Ooh.
Whoop. Yes.
You saw that? Jesus.
And I love, just like I think I had the pleasure of watching you perform at Boxers with Cesa when Cesa was on stage.
That was a
And
fun night.
I have
so
to
fun.
say, I've the energy that you bring, you automatically are able to turn the entire room into your besties. And it felt like such a comfortable space. And I even got called up for to play around with the game, the lip syncing for my, and even just
I have some great footage from that.
Oh gosh, I haven't seen it, and I don't think I can ever watch that. Do not ever make me watch that.
Do you know what song she had to lip sync to?
Oh my God.
I forgot
it wasn't it Show Me Love by Robin S.
Was
Yes.
it
You
might have
got
been.
to show me
Yeah,
love.
probably. I remember. I think I only remember it was
And you
being the chorus,
dipped.
and then all the women after were picking their songs and stuff.
Oh, it was
After
the
y'all
older
told
ladies.
me,
It was the viejas.
after the rules was that we had to take whatever was given to us, because if they had given me a chance, I would have picked some shit that I really should have killed. But it was fine because God had my back because I won anyway.
That was funny.
She got drinks.
Yes, she did. No, but honestly, I just the energy in that room. And sometimes, you do go to drag shows or drag bars, and depending on the crowd, and in the city, sometimes it gets touristy, right? And then it's not a space for the community anymore. It feels very showmanshipy. But that was just so perfect, and we were uptown, and it really, really excited me to have you on here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what got you into drag?
I got into drag, as I mentioned, about 10 years ago. I actually dabbled in drag before that. I don't talk about that character. That wasn't fully fleshed out. But Ari was born out of a relationship, actually. I was in a relationship for about 5 years off and on. It was very taxing. I'm thankful for the relationship, but it definitely wore itself out way too long. Like, you know, when you're in those relationships, you're like, I'm not ready to leave. He's still good. This, that, and the other.
Yes.
Like, we're not a good match for each other. It was my first.
No tour.
Y'all saw the look that I gave? If y'all are listening, because my eyes shot straight across to Julissa.
It's so real. It's so real.
It's so real, though. I feel it. But you got something out of it.
Yeah, I think with any relationship, there are lessons to be learned. It's up to you to take the lessons and learn. It took me a while to learn the lesson. I kept on walking into the wall. I kept on walking into the wall. And I'm like, oh, bitch, stop walking into the wall.
Stop
Use
walking
the door.
into the wall.
And walk out that relationship, bitch. We're still friends, but it took me a while for us to get to that point. But I grew out of that relationship, and I was very submissive in that relationship. Whatever he asked of me, I was like, sure, I'll jump, I'll run, and whatever. And after that relationship, I've been single since because I just don't want to sacrifice myself anymore.
Right.
I'm like, I've done this before. It's not cute, and you don't feel happy in the end.
Right.
So Ari was kind of born out of that. It was like the Phoenix rising out of that relationship.
Yes.
And I also, at the same time, my good Judy that I went to college with, she's queer identified. We both went to Hunter College, and I was living with her in between the relationship, right before, in one of the breaks, and then right after the final break. And we both volunteered for a nonprofit called the New York Anti-Violence Project. And so we were taking lessons to be hotline operators. And it just opened my eyes more to the culture that I wasn't part of or aware of. And I feel like a lot of gay men don't bother to educate themselves about trans experiences. For the white gay man, the POC experience. And so it just aligned my views, and I was like, oh, you could be this, you could be that, and there's other boxes that you don't need to be in.
Right.
So it kind of opened up my eyes, and I kind of started developing Ari out of that. I also like that Ari was a shorter version of my already short real name, Marty. It's easy to say when you're drunk. And originally I was going to go by Ari Star, but that's real conceited. And I'm like, if I wasn't going to be good, I didn't want to be like, well, she ain't the star, girl. I met a few people while I was doing the hotline training who were more part of not necessarily the ball scene, but just different circles that I wasn't part of. And I learned the word Kiki. And I was under the impression, understanding that to Kiki was to joke around, to not take yourself seriously, or to bochinche, to gossip. And I'm like, these are three things that are pivotal to who I am as a Latina. So let's get into the Kiki. Right. So Ari Kiki was born.
I love that.
Wow, yes.
Thank you.
Well, Ari Kiki, when you go out to brunch with your girls, with your daughters, or the house or whatever, what is your choice beverage that you are going to be drinking?
I like a Bellini. A peach Bellini.
Peach is always a good, yeah.
I like a good peach.
What's funny is that when you mentioned peach vodka, I was like, oh, because I have a recipe for a peach Bellini, but I didn't get the ingredients today. Next time.
Para la próxima.
Yeah.
I like a peach Bellini. I like sangria, a red sangria, or I used to go to brunch at 5 or 6 years ago. I used to go to Mama Juana's on Dykeman.
Yes, wow.
And they used to have a rum punch. I think it was a Jack rum punch.
Yeah.
And that would get me all the way saucy.
Yep.
All the way saucy.
Yeah, Mama Juana's is something serious.
To the point where
punch,
I would get sour when they wouldn't come with the pitcher, and I was like, I wasn't in drag, and I'd be like, I'm gonna go get this pitcher and serve the whole table because y'all not doing the job. It's unlimited. Where's my limit? Why are you limiting me?
Right.
It's not my fault. I'm a very parched woman.
Right. If you didn't want to be
goodness.
fast, you shouldn't have said unlimited. Let's go.
Ponte la
Why are
pila.
you
Ponte la
limiting
pila.
me? So then when you are out to brunch, what is your choice brunch plate?
If I don't trust the menu, I always go to steak and eggs.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, I used to bartend at Stonewall. If it's 2 ingredients, like you know what you're getting.
Right.
Steak
Right.
and eggs. You really can't fuck that up.
No, that's real. It's so funny once you said, "Oh, if I'm playing it safe," and you always have to have a safety item.
do.
And if a place can fuck up that safety plate, then I'm just like, what's happening here? What's
Why am I
the
here?
gimmick? What's the gimmick?
I feel like I don't have a safety brunch plate, but I don't know.
It's usually for me. It's meat and eggs. It's usually my
Right.
go-to.
Okay.
I always feel like you're being gypped if you get pancakes
yeah.
or like a French toast.
Okay.
I don't know why, because really eggs are cheaper. But
but not the steak though.
But
not
not
the
the
steak.
steak.
Not the steak.
you pay for it though. She's always like, you know, say like unlimited brunch for $25, and like the steak says like a +5.
Right. Oh, they make sure that or anything with shrimp. They're like, oh, you think you're going to be bougie
Yup.
for
It's a little
extra?
extra.
bitch.
There's always a little plus sign. Gotcha, girl.
Yes. All right. So tell us a little bit about what it was like going out to eat when you were growing up.
So I was raised by 2 younger brothers. My 2 older brothers are actually my half brothers, and they were from my father's first marriage. And so it was me. I was the oldest growing up, and I didn't start getting heavy until 3rd grade. I was in an accident where I ran into another classmate, and he pushed me, and my dumb ass didn't put my hands down when I fell, so I stopped the floor with my front tooth, and it was like a whole year of me like, because you know, like, the tooth had like, it was a fresh kid's tooth. I had to keep on getting work done and work done and work done. Finally, the whole tooth is fake, whatever. But it was a whole year of me like not feeling comfortable.
Right.
It's already awkward for a kid.
Yeah.
And so they were like just trying to please me. So like whatever you want, you can have.
Yeah.
So I loved. When you say eat, what do you mean? Because that's a very broad statement. Are
Yeah.
you talking about like? Dale, tell me.
No, I mean, like, so going out, so, like, you know, sometimes folks are talking about, like, oh, when we went out to eat, like, it would be, like, McDonald's. Like, that was going out because we cooked a lot. Or, you know, like, oh, we would only go after church because, like, church was the sacred day and, like, that was the day everybody went out together. But, like, anything, whatever, however you interpret that.
There's so many directions.
Take us all the directions.
You mentioned McDonald's, so I'm going to go down a semi-sad story.
I'm here for it.
As a kid, I remember like Sundays we would wake up. My mom would usually make like eggs and spam. I love fried spam. It's again. I was raised in Midtown Manhattan, supposed to feel some kind of bougie kind of way, but like we were like. My mom was one of 6 kids, so like poverty was life.
Yeah.
You made what you had to.
Right.
And that's what I was accustomed to with that end. But my father provided like crazy, and he overcompensated. But that's a whole different story for a whole different day. But one of the things I remember were like it'd be a special morning if my mom would go to McDonald's and get everybody a big breakfast.
Ooh, yeah.
Which really isn't that big. It's
Yeah,
literally just
but
a
when I
sandwich
was-
spread
Yeah,
out.
but yeah.
No,
If you
when
were
I was
at
a kid-
McDonald's for breakfast,
Nah, that was always
It was
a big deal for me
special.
growing up.
Well, because it was
Like,
we used to
yeah.
stop at like 10 o'clock, so you had to get the dumb early
Yes.
to get the breakfast.
No, that was
Yeah, yeah.
always a big thing. If you got the big breakfast, that was also a big deal because you know damn well you could have
Yup.
gotten just one sandwich or
The
one
little
thing.
sandwich.
So I'm so here for
But the
that.
funny thing is, the big breakfast literally is just a sandwich and a hash brown. Just take it. Literally, it's like a sausage, an egg, the biscuit, and a hash brown.
And then they
on
have
a
the Supreme
platter.
with pancakes.
Right,
that
that was
you
the
can-
upgrade. We never got that. We just maybe once in a blue moon if it was a
Right,
good
the
right.
cake.
pancakes that came on the little like styrofoam
Right,
tray.
right, right.
It didn't come in a
Styrofoam
box or nothing. It was just like in a little tray.
The flapjacks,
Yeah.
hotcakes.
man.
Hotcakes. Yeah,
Hotcakes.
the hotcakes.
And I used to like stuff my face, and then so in the platter it's the scrambled eggs, not the circular real egg.
Right.
And so my stomach couldn't process the synthetic egg beats. So like later on in the day, I'd be like,
Oh no.
and the big breakfast just came out every time.
Oh no.
But I look forward to eating it every time.
No. And when did you catch on? Like, did you stop eating the eggs once you caught
At some point, I did catch on, but it took. She's walking to the wall. Walking to the wall. She's a slow learner. She learns, but she learns.
But she learns. I love that. All right. So, when you're out eating, what's your favorite bochinche topic?
Ooh, bochinche topic. Well, being in nightlife, it's usually other queens. So there's my drag sisters and my drag children. You met Vicky when you came to do our podcast, The Shade Parade. Vicky's my drag sister. Vicky's my drag sister.
Shout out to Shade Parade podcast.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Vicky's my drag sister. I have another drag queen sister called Mary Muscles. And then you get to my drag kids. We have Lola Michelle Kiki.
I've met Lola Michelle.
You've met Lola. She's Candela. Then there's Katrina Lovelace. And then Mr. Emel Kiki, which is my drag son. He's the newest one in the house.
Nice.
Lola loves to kick shit. She loves to feed the flames. She will literally be running around with a gas like can.
Oh my goodness.
She's always so I can always look forward to her like either spilling tea or looking to feed the flames. And so and I'm just like, we're like a respected family. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the bochinche, and that's what I grew up like. Half of my nightlife career was like being the girl to go to when you had bochinche,
right?
Because I would know everything. But then slowly, I also became known as like the nice queen. Behind closed doors, I'm the bochinchera. But like to people's face, I'm the sweetheart.
That's kind of fucked up.
But it's so real. Don't we all know someone? Don't we all know someone
who are very nice in person, and then when we all get together,
but that's Latino households.
I was gonna say we all have it in us. We all
okay,
have it
oh
in us. We all. I'm not just shouting. We all have it in us because bitch, me too.
Point of reference. We all have big Latino household families,
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
Take, for example, whenever you go to a family-oriented get-together with like your cousins or your tias, what would happen as soon as you got into the car to leave the venue?
Yo, all the commentary, it is literally like you press a button and it's like, ding, pero tú yo, right away. And be careful if the car is parked far, because halfway through the walk, you know they start talking to.
El novio de este, and this one and the other.
Que reventa de gorda está.
Always. Why is that always mira que gorda se puso. Always.
Pero parece que se puso en depresión.
Always the concern.
La mamá porque
Always the
mío.
concern.
Yo. Always. And they are so fucked up. Like, literally. Like
why I got body image issues?
Right.
Why I got
literally,
body issues?
because of my family fit all my body. Like, literally in church, they'd kill me. But listen, even in church, women would be like, no, because they came back after, like, their father died. But damn, they didn't need to eat that much because they were depressed. And it's like, bitch, her father died. Why are you talking shit about her?
It's like the hand with the knife attached.
With the knife attached to it every time. Yes, but I kind of love it about us. I kind of love it about our culture too. Also, it keeps it fun.
We all love the gossip.
Yes. All right, so now we are moving into our cheers section where we cheers people doing dope shit and dope shit that is happening. So Issa Rae has 2 films coming out, The Photograph and The Lovebird. So I just have to say Issa Rae is such a phenomenal Black woman, and like the timing of her career glow up, and just like even the evolution of like the current climate in the US and how people are giving pushback to Hollywood about being less conventional and making more room for people of color to take up space. Like, this bitch is building a motherfucking empire, and I'm so here for it. But Skittles, tell us a little bit about the movie.
Well, I think that one of the biggest things is that, first off, they're starring Issa Rae, who is this strong, powerful Black woman, but they're also like these romantic comedies where you're actually seeing like a Black love story happen with a Black woman in the forefront. I think The Photograph is actually like a full-on black couple. I think it has something to do, I can't remember the exact synopsis, but I know that it shows a parallel love story between her character and then like her mom's character.
Yeah.
So it's premiering in February, and it's being rumored that it's like the first black love story released since like 2000, since Love and Hip Hop.
Wow.
I don't know how true that is, given like, you know, all of the fucking Tyler Perry movies that have come out and stuff. Like, I don't know if Tyler Perry has ever even done a love story.
Because
really.
I'm thinking Beale Street is the only other movie that I can think of that happened that I can think of that has like a black love story to it. But maybe it's.
But it wasn't focused on like being a love story. I don't think
the love story was part of it. It wasn't like the epicenter. Well, yeah, so like I feel like it's a big deal in that sense. Then the other one is The Lovebirds, which is another romantic comedy that I think something happens where her and the guy end up. Well, no, I have the synopsis is right there, but I can't remember like what it said.
So if I'm not mistaken, it's her and her boyfriend, which is the guy from the Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't know what his background is, but he was also in the Stuber, I think it was called, the taxi cab movie with. Anyways, they're in love, they're in a relationship, and they are part of a crime.
Yeah, like a murder.
Yes,
and they get framed for the murder. Like someone jumps into their car saying they're the cops, and they kill someone with their car.
Yes.
And then everyone finds them at the scene of the crime, and they're like trying to like fix their names.
Yes.
Actually, this one was a love story. Slim and Queen.
Slim and Queen. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about like I'm describing this movie, The Lovebirds, and it's like Slim and Queen, but like the comedy version.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Right. No, and even Slim and Queen. I mean, homeboy's name. We don't remember shit or
Terrible.
no shit. We don't.
No,
but
we're like that at our podcast. Like, don't come here for facts.
right. Google. You have to Google everything we say.
I mean, the main thing is that this bitch is coming out with 2 movies, and they both love stories, and she's black, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, and she really is building an empire like
Yes.
this.
And I love that she's also very like female centric.
Yes.
Like she's also a producer on the woman's black woman comedy show.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing the same thing
Yes, the black woman's comedy show. Then she also has Insecure, obviously.
Yes.
Which I actually never watched.
I've only watched
obsessed with
season 1,
Insecure.
and for me at first it was kind of like, oh, it's too relevant to my life at the moment, and I was like, nah, I can't be called out on TV and in real life at the same time. I need one safe space. But then, like, you know, for me, I just like I've fallen so behind that I'm like, oh, I haven't done the binge thing, but I'm here for it. Like in theory, like even though I don't watch it all the time, I'm like, yeah, anytime somebody's here for it, or I need to like share anything about it. Absolutely.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps.
Oh, can I have some? All right, so now we're going into our Tuta Loca Es section where we call motherfuckers out for doing the most.
Yes.
And I don't know how to feel about this, but it turns out that Kesha was found guilty for defamation towards Dr. Luke. And they found her guilty of lying about telling Lady Gaga via text that Dr. Luke raped Katy Perry.
Because Katy Perry testified also
And
that it wasn't true.
Yeah.
I don't know if she testified, but she came out saying that didn't happen.
No, they had like a transcript.
There's a transcript, and it says it's like the question was, so you're saying such and such, and she was like, yes, like that's not what happened. So now she owes all this money to Dr. Luke for defamation. Including like $1.3 million in royalties plus like $300,000 for the actual like charge. And I think that is such a sticky situation because you have someone who literally was like the pop princess for half of a decade. And
was it that long?
I feel like she had 4 years, so half of a decade. Did she was.
I wasn't a big Kesha person.
She
so
was
that's
all
a
right.
question. That's
Kesha
not shade.
was like,
I'm like,
Kesha
really
was all of college for us. She was at the top of the charts for from 2009 to 2013.
But what were the songs? Because I remember the one where she was brushing.
We're gonna go through her discography.
No, first of all, whoa.
TikTok.
First of all, slow. No, pause. We're not ramming through this. I am asking to be educated because I genuinely did not follow this bitch for 4 years. So I'm just trying to understand the motherfucking context. I still feel bad for her in the situation. Help me out here. Shit.
So in 2009, she had TikTok, and then she came out with that entire album, and then she had whatever album came out after that, where she had like Die Young, and then I feel like now I have to think about all her singles. There was TikTok, then she had
Let's tag in Google.
the song with 303, then she had Take It Off, then she had oh my God, We Are Who We Are, Die Young.
She had the this place about to
Blow.
Blow, that's what it was. I was
Blow,
thinking that's
Blow.
not the word.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but my point in saying that was not to list her songs. It was to say that she had a pretty solid career.
She did have
and
a career, and
it literally got axed
got
the
chopped,
minute this happened. You know, and I don't think that somebody gives up their career off of false allegations. You know,
she kept on fighting.
And I think that to take on a name like that is kind of like going against like a Harvey Weinstein of like the music industry.
And then the courts had the fucking audacity to actually claim the opposite, that like because he isn't such a big figure, so essentially in the courts it's easier to prove defamation if the person who you're coming for isn't considered like this like a big public figure.
That's the way they phrased it. It's like he's not a public figure,
right? And
like,
so
he's big in the music scene, from what I gather,
right?
But he's not physically present. Like you don't see him on gossip columns and shit like that. So like by her accusing him of rape and all that, it brought him out in the forefront, but like that wasn't his life.
Exactly. So which makes it harder for her to win actually the case against him for some reason or another. Now, another thing that, you know, sort of I've been keeping in mind in this process is, but that doesn't mean that they've proven him innocent of rape, right? Because there's still the fact that she claimed that he raped her, right?
I don't know if I've read. I feel like that case was dropped, or
did she drop it?
Or she stopped pursuing it, or something like that. And it was the counter case on his part for defamation that was the one that was still going.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
because once she got out of his contract or something to that effect, because she was able to release music again, is when she kind of like, well, I'm good now. I don't need to follow this. And that's what I perceive is the situation.
Gotcha. Because then my whole thing is like, all right, they also said that there were that they have some sort of proof that this was all part of a media ploy for or a PR move on her end for her career. But I just like, that's difficult to swallow. Like if that's true,
that's heavy,
right? Like that's really heavy,
especially in this day and age. Like you kind of have to prove shit.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is, especially like considering, like I feel like if that was the case, then she would have done it a bit smart. Like she wouldn't have lied about something that would have been so easy to prove as a lie. Or plot twist, is it that he's a man who's so protected that even a Katy Perry wouldn't testify for herself?
I feel like I would believe that only because I know that his hand is in the pot of like the entire pop industry. Like you're talking about like Dr. Luke and like Max Martin are responsible for some of like the biggest pop stars in the industry. Like from Katy Perry to Britney Spears to Lady Gaga to, you know, Kesha, and like they have their hand in all of these albums, you know?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past him being that powerful to have like protection. But then again, it also brings into question like, okay, well, she said this, and then obviously she's gonna have Lady Gaga, who is also a survivor and who has also admitted that it's somebody in the industry, but is not willing to name who it is because she says that in the industry it's as if everybody has someone against another person. So nobody's willing to support these artists because somebody has something against them, you know?
It's crazy to hear that. Especially if you watch what's happening in Hollywood with like Harvey Weinstein, like they just threw him under the bus, and that's, I mean, I'm sure there's other people involved.
Yeah, and like, and I'm like Dr. Luke, Max Martin, like for a hot minute, you're talking about like you wanted a chart-topping single. These were the people that you were going to, you know,
right.
And it sucks because it's like a lot of women, like
right.
You
Right.
think about
Pop
think
star.
about I think about like obviously me thinking about like Britney Spears, being a Britney Spears fan. I'm like, yo, this bitch is like going through some psychological shit and it's obvious.
Right.
What happened in this situation that she's going through this, you know?
Yeah.
And why is it that then also this other, then Lady Gaga, who is one of the biggest pop stars in the world, was raped repeatedly and then shoved into the spotlight and didn't deal with it correctly because she went from having to deal with this thing that happened to her to then like being the biggest pop star in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and now she suffers from fibromyalgia, which is the reaction to the trauma that happened to her with the rapes. You know, then you have Kesha, who is actually being out and vocal about it. It's like something's going on here.
Right. Something's fishy.
Conspiracy theory right here.
Yeah, no, and it's just like the one that Britney's career was being hijacked or controlled, or that someone was like speaking on her behalf. What was that?
I think that was heightened by the Black Mirror episode that came out.
Oh, the Ashley O episode.
Yeah, the Ashley O episode.
Girl, that was real.
Yeah, but shit like I would not be surprised with some shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the girl has not been working in the industry for a minute now and somehow is coming out with a new fragrance and the picture that they're using looks like a CGI version of her.
Is Brittany you talking about?
Yeah.
What's the new fragrance?
Glitter Fantasy.
I have to look this up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that though there is something to be said, and this is why like even watching news and responding to news, especially around people reporting rape and things like that, it really like gets under my skin because there's always like some deeper story that can't be revealed when it's these big names, and it really pains me for the victims and the survivors who are like in the middle of the situation, who are literally juggling between, okay, like do I let this moment that this person did that completely violated me and traumatized me be the thing that takes away the entire career and like bigger picture thing that I've been working towards, which even in having to say that I'm looking at the rest of my life as bigger picture and having to minimalize my rape for the sake of being like there's just so much psychological bullshit that you have to go through to even allow yourself to say this rape is small enough for me to compartmentalize so that I can get a bigger picture. Like that in itself is something for someone to have to heal from. And so I watched this news and I'm like clearly not a big Kesha fan or person, nothing against her, but never followed the career. But like watching this as a woman, I'm just sort of like, hey, like, you know what that feels like to try to like call a person out that no one is going to believe you about, and how do we as fans like even how are we able to support that? Like how can we break that stigma? Because we are at the end of the day we're the consumer, and I'm always wondering like how can we take our buying power to actually make changes in this industry? Because you have brave artists and actors right in Hollywood and people who are willing to come forward, but like at the end of the day people move and make decisions with what's going to pay the money, but we're the ones giving the money, but we don't even know how to like stop, like how do we even dismantle it so that we're like, no, but because we support this thing more than just the movie and wanting the content, then like you have to change your rules. But I don't know. It's just like I feel like at a loss. And that's why I get so mad at people like NFL fans, because I feel like that's so clear. And it's like, oh, it's clear that if we don't indulge the NFL, and I'm not even talking about the halftime show because that's one performance, one day of the year out of an entire season where we have a bunch of people that run to bars, buy wings, and are watching Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, faithfully, you know what I mean? And all that buying power. So like, let's not come at J-Lo and a Shakira. Let's come at ourselves. Like, totally. How are we all going to start making decisions as consumers so that people have room? Because like Kesha doesn't have room to breathe here because we also continue to contribute to some degree to the cycles that these So I just wonder how we could do something, because I'm sick of having to watch on the news how people are getting fucked and fucked and fucked. And even this week, Harvey Weinstein's lawyer was just like, as a woman, I would never put myself in this situation. So I don't know why these women didn't know better. Like, because I'm sick of seeing news like that. I'm just like, at this point,
that's victim blaming.
Yeah, it is. It's 100% victim blaming. How the fuck do we get the power back for the causes we believe in, not just for the sake of the celebrities we love, but for what we stand for? I don't know. That's my rant of the day. Boop. There it is.
That's a heavy pour, girl. That's a heavy pour.
That's the one. That's what happens when it... Cheers. Right,
Cheers,
right.
bitches.
Shit, because, bitch.
Ooh, this looks good.
Oh my God, this is delicious.
I definitely want to taste that.
Okay, so now we're ready to move into our plate of the day. Body shaming in the LGBTQAI plus community.
Whew.
Dun, 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 dun.
Can't relate. No,
I don't know what y'all are talking
that
about.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I really think this is a conversation, for y'all to fully own. But I will say that as somebody who's an ally, one of my biggest frustrations is watching the very evident, like, mistreatment or like just shade that is thrown towards different body types in our community. And it's like in moments where you do sometimes see it accepted, it's people like almost like they have to like still point attention to this part of a person's identity, and it becomes the thing, and it becomes the center of all of the jokes, which honestly, like, for certain characters and in certain moments, it's fine if the person is owning that and they want to utilize that as part of their artistic tools. Great, because it is your motherfucking body. That's for you to do. But the way in which people pigeonhole and put people in a box based off of that is really disappoints me. And it really disappoints me, especially when I'm seeing it on larger media platforms in Hollywood, and that these tropes are like sort of put in time and time again. Because then, as a friend, when I am going out and if I am with Skittles and if we are standing outside of certain clubs or certain establishments, I can see the immediate like scanning and reading and how people are already getting ready to act all different. And it's only when they realize, oh, that's Cesar? Oh, shit. And then now it's a whole other thing, because now it's like, this is the version, like, Juan Skittles, but Cesar, oh, yeah, Cesar can get into this space. And that's just one small, like, bite size of a much larger issue in the community. But as an observer, it's something that has always fucking frustrated me. And, like, I've been losing weight, but, like, I'm a big girl, and this is, straight community. And in the straight community, big girls don't be getting that type of love, and the way people love us is also manipulated in a certain way. But I did just want to hear from you guys a little bit about this experience. Like, what is the issue, or like what are some of the experiences that you're having in these spaces? Like, where's this shit coming from? Like, I just want to hear it all. I want to hash it out. I'm tired of the shit. I'm calling it out.
Well, I think that there's like a couple of things that go into this. Like, one of the ways in which that it's often like shown is like if you like go on like dating apps and stuff like that, you see them like no fats, no femmes, no this, no that. And people like to play it off as if it's a preference when it comes to like wanting to actually be romantically involved, because that's a huge part of obviously being gay, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, is it really a preference, or are you being biased? Like, is it because of what society has taught us about fat people? I think another thing that is really, that plays a part into it, and I never really thought about it until I heard it when I was doing one of those Stonewall walking tours of the village, where, and it was so ironic because the person who said this was like this, like, muscular looking bottom, like the nerdy white boy who, like, when he takes his like glasses off and you look at his Instagram, all of his pictures like are with his glasses off and like a beautiful body. Like, he's very aesthetically pleasing, Right. So the fact that it was coming from someone who was so hot was like, well, of course, like, you could say this and chuck it up to this. But what he said was actually really interesting. He said that when the AIDS epidemic was going on, because it was affiliated so much with the gay community, and because so many gay people were dying from AIDS, when you had AIDS, you would start looking like deathly ill, and you would lose a lot of weight and all this stuff, and you started looking like a zombie. And so to counteract that stigma, gay men started making themselves look like picturesque and like buff and this, and that's where that mentality started building up. I don't know. I can see it as playing a role. I don't know that it's necessarily the sole
I don't think
source
it's
of it.
Soul, but there's definitely an impact with that.
Yeah. But I also feel like, and this is the last thing that I'll say before I pass it on to you, Ari, is that I feel like one thing that I've noticed as a big person, as a big artist, is that people are always shocked to see me do the things that I do. And it's always the, it's always the like, oh my God, but besides your size, you don't care what anybody thinks. And it's like, all right, but I'm also just like a bad bitch, you know, you know, and like a lot of regular sized people can't do what I do. And it's annoying that like when you're big, you
so
have
brave.
to be, you're brave. You're brave. Or like when you're big, you have to be like absolutely amazing, spectacular, on point. Because if you're not, then they'll chuck you away. Like you have Lizzo getting on stage, giving you vocals, singing her ass off, performing with choreography, and playing the fucking flute. She has to be flawless in order for you guys to pay attention.
And she's
you know?
not, and I love that about her.
Like,
if you go on her Instagram, like it's 1 week she's like shaking her ass and twerking, and the next week she's crying. She's going through like some emotional breakup or like something's happening in her life. She won't talk about it, but she's crying on camera for you. She's a human being.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah.
And she got struggles.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. But Ari, what's your experience?
So it's so varied. I've been plus size for longer than I've been skinny. I'll phrase it that way. I'll start with that. I didn't come out of the closet and feel somewhat comfortable until I was skinnier. I used to weigh, when I was younger, in my early 20s, my heaviest at that time was 215. I lost about 60 pounds on Weight Watchers in like 6 months. And suddenly felt like, oh, she's ready to go out. I went to her first gay bar. I was like social. People were like fawning over me, this, that, and the other. I still wasn't doing drag at the time. But it was something I wasn't comfortable with because I'd been plus size for so long and I had just come out of the closet. Fast forward a few years in and out of that relationship that I discussed earlier. And after the breakup, I think at the end of the breakup, I was probably like 185. And as I started doing drag and being out in nightlife more, drinking more, eating more, this, that, and the other, taking less care of myself, I've currently at 250. Lies. 350. But I'm ARI KIKI.
Right.
Oh, yes.
You know, like...
Yeah. So, and I think that that's a whole other thing where, like, you are ARI KIKI, the hot mess in a RuPaul's Drag Race world. So, like...
I don't like going to a bar when I'm not in drag. Very rarely will I, like, if I go to the bar at, like, if it's at the end of the gig, that's different.
Right.
But people are like, oh, why don't you come out? This, that, and the other. I'm like, because I'm not getting paid to be out. And the charm of dealing with the society when I'm not getting paid to deal with the society is not something I'm in the mood to deal with.
Right.
My girlfriends, most of the girlfriends I hang around with are a lot thinner than me, and they look a certain kind of way, and they get fawned over and this, that, and the other. I'm not that person. People will fawn over me because you're ARI KIKI. They don't fawn over me for who I am outside of the wig.
Right.
So it's just like,
Yep.
and the way that I get treated if no one knows who I am. Like I don't physically, I have no interest in going to a bar who doesn't know who I am. And that's fucked up for me to say, but it's also my experience and my, like, if you don't know who I am, and that's me sitting on my laurels, but like, if you don't know who I am, I'm not going to be treated a certain kind of way, which I'd rather be treated, and as a common fucking human being.
Right, right.
But it's just, the society's problematic. I'm problematic of it as well. I catch myself judging people because it's the way
it's ingrained.
It's ingrained.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm repeating the problem.
Right.
I try and catch myself whenever possible, but it's what you're taught. So it's just like, snap out of it, girl. Also, when you mentioned the no fats, no femmes, and this, that, and the other on the profiles, I've been reading articles where like, there's ways to have that conversation without being a dick about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I totally understand if it's a preference. I totally get that. If you say you're masculine, instant turn off. I don't, because first of all, I promise you 10 out of 10, you're not as masculine as you think you are. Put on a Nene Leakes moment and you will be quoting that bitch. And nothing wrong with that. Right, but like the mindset you have to stay, I'm masculine and I'm only looking for masculine. Baby girl, first of all, you're the first one lip syncing to Ariana Grande's song.
Right.
Like, and not to say that's not masculine, but like,
right.
Is that masculine?
Right. For the front that you're trying to put up, like, we're gonna call it what it is.
So there's ways to phrase things where you're not a dick, you're not a douche, you're not perpetuating these stereotypes.
Right.
My profiles usually state like, well, on Grindr I'm in drag. And I specifically say I only get paid to be in bars and drag. You're not gonna get this if you're talking to me.
Right.
I'm only on here to fuck around with people and not to actually fuck people.
Right.
On my other profiles, it's me usually saying I'm looking for someone to get to know, someone to spend time with, someone to socialize with. Wherever the conversation goes, if I choose to have the conversation, is a whole different story.
Right.
But there's way you don't have to be like, I don't want this, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Clean only, whatever that problematic statement is.
Right.
Because if you have an STI, you're dirty.
Yeah, it's such a terrible. I mean, in the straight community too, it's the language.
Look, we're all problematic people, but there's ways to educate yourself. There's ways to come across where you're not perpetuating these problems.
Yeah,
you don't have to be part of the problem.
Right. Yeah, and do you find that like this like sort of like this culture has a feeding ground within the drag community? Like, is there a way in which size, and because when Skittles mentioned, he's like, oh, you're an ARI KIKI in a RuPaul's Drag Race world. What unpack that for me? What does that mean?
Yeah, I feel like when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking like, you're ARI KIKI, you're a plus size, so you're already a plus size queen, and that's a thing.
That's a category.
You know, and then you are ARI KIKI the hot mess, so you're not like a pageant queen, you're not like a fish queen, you know, and RuPaul's Drag Race has kind of created this image that a drag queen is this certain type of queen, when there are so many facets to drag and different like other things that go into being a drag queen.
The thing with RuPaul's Drag Race, I love it for what it's done to the community, what it's provided for the community. Let me rephrase it that way. But a lot of people take it as like the golden rule. And that's where we run into a problem, because RuPaul didn't create drag.
Right.
People need to remember she brought it into the mainstream. I'll give her all the kudos for that. I'll give her the snaps.
Right.
She fought to get to where she is, but she's not the gold standard. There's so many more options out there. There's more people who've worked harder and just haven't achieved that level of stardom, or choose not to have that level of stardom.
Yeah.
Jackie Beat, hilarious drag from California. Coco Peru, not what RuPaul is giving. Sherry Vine,
yes, shout out to
Joey
Sherry
Arias. Who else?
And these are like queens that are at this point legends. They've been in the game for so
People
long. They're literally making their living
off of drag.
But
they're not on TV. They're not. Jackie Beat, for example, she used to be a comedic writer for Joan Rivers on Fashion Police.
Wow.
And so it's just like, there's so many people who have chosen different paths, but people keep on pigeonholing. Not saying it right again. Pigeonholing.
hole.
I'm using RuPaul as the basis, and that's not the basis.
Yeah.
I've been doing drag for 10 years. When I first started doing drag, I was skinnier, but the lopsided lips was there. The hairy chest was there. The hairy arms were there. People didn't know how to take it. And it was always been an uphill battle to get people to understand my drag and what I do. And it's been a process. I currently work at the bars that I work at, but it's because I've built myself up. I've worked with the people I've worked with. I've donated my time to do stuff. I do a lot of charity work here and there, benefits. I don't take myself seriously. I'm a man in a wig and heels occasionally.
Yeah.
You're a clown in essence. I just choose to be more vocal and present about the fact that I'm actually a clown, whereas you are trying to pass for a female. And that's fine with to you. If that's what you want to do. That's not me. Right. I've gotten prettier, as people like to say, over the years, but I'm still sticking to the lip. I'm still sticking to the chest hair. It's just part of who I am.
Right.
And I feel like if I were to get rid of those things, I'd lose who I am as ARI KIKI.
Yeah. No, that's important.
And I feel like you need people who are not following the cookie cutter mold.
Absolutely. And I think that was part of what I loved about the act that day. It was just that it was outrageous in like the best way. Like it was just, you're just there having fun. And I think like seeing Skittles, because like once upon a time, like when Skittles, when we were still developing Cesa as a character, like when we were like, oh, Cesa has a life outside of shit Spanish girls say. And then I remember the moment of like, drag, like, is this, and then Skittles, and I think even in college there was like a drag. Was that your first like drag show that you had done? Yeah. Talk a little bit about that moment of college. Like stepping into.
I feel like it's funny, like with me and like what I try to like put forth in terms of content, because I'm always kind of like straddling that fence of drag queen esqueness and stuff like that, and
you're definitely a persona.
Definitely a persona. Cesa's definitely a persona, and Skittles is definitely a persona.
And presence
like
when
that.
You're there, like
right.
And so I remember that was kind of like a question of like, would we make Cesa into a full blown drag queen? And I was like, well, I feel like there's so many things that go into.
Yep.
And this was pre RuPaul's Drag Race. Into drag, where it's like, you had to have the padding, and you had to have the this, and like there's money because the outfits, and then you have to have your numbers, and you have to have that. And I was just on my like, I don't really see myself. I don't really see myself doing all that. Right. Yep. And so I guess like I'm always open to saying that Cesa is my drag persona, like, because she's a Latina girl who I'm impersonating, whose personality is like kind of the caricature of what being a Latina is. And I've tried to make like the mole and the lip liner and the chest hair, as much a part of that character as possible. And I get the same shit online as well. Like, why don't you ever shave your chest hair? Because that's the funny part. That's the part that you're supposed to laugh at. Like, and
we know that girl.
Yeah. We all know the girl that has a little bit more extra hair out of her lips.
Exactly.
We do.
Come on. Women grow hair too. Yeah, so but I don't know. I feel like I've never really been wanting to like claim that right. being a drag queen, because like I said, even now with like RuPaul's Drag Race creating like this like hot commodity of what being a drag queen should be. I've never really wanted to claim it, but then at the same time, I would love for Cesa to have a live show and like do that in live, which would essentially be doing drag. So who knows? Like, I'm always straddling the fence.
Or is it the persona, right? It's like the character.
It's still either way, whether it's you're in quote unquote drag or not. I mean, one thing I will say from RuPaul, she has this line that says, you're born naked and the rest is drag. Like, she's not wrong on that one. Yeah. You're putting on a facade up, you're putting a wall up, or whatever it is you're putting on. I was going to say I was gooped and gagged when you told me I was the first person to book you at a gay bar to perform.
You were, yes.
I was just what?
Yeah.
You were.
I was like, how is this even possible?
Yeah, I think two things played into it, where it was like... I
mean, I don't feel like you're actively looking to get...
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't been actively looking to get into the scene like that. But I've seen you at bars left and right, like just being you. Yeah.
And that's how we met. I feel like we met, I think it was at Sweet. We were just kikiing. And I was like, I love your shit on YouTube. And we just exchanged information.
Yeah. It's like with stuff like that, like it's me not actively looking for it is one of the things. And also, when Shit Spanish Girl Say happened, we were in college, so I was still living in New Jersey for 2 more years. Oof. So I wasn't even part of like the nightlife, the scene. So it wasn't really until later, and like I said, at that point I had already decided that wasn't something that I was trying to like really invest in. But anybody watching and anybody listening, I'm always down to hop on a mic and on a stage.
Right.
Like,
No, for sure. And are there any inequalities though that you find in terms of like, all right, so we've accepted, you know, that we're in this drag space and there's different characters, but like, do you find like even in the business of like booking gigs and doing things that you have a harder time than other queens?
There's certain neighborhoods I purposely don't bother trying to be active in. You won't find me in Hell's Kitchen because that's just not my tea. Like if you look at a Hell's Kitchen show, and I'm not speaking for everyone because there's definitely like other there are very few big girls in Hell's Kitchen. Just to name the only two that come to mind right off the bat are Jasmine Rice LaBeija and Britta Filter. They have a Sunday show at Hardware, but as quickly as I can, I think those are the only two big girls in Hell's Kitchen. Maybe Pissy Miles at Rise Bar. I think that's about it. But for the most part, they're skinny theater queens, and and that's fine. But like, there's other stuff out there. I don't fuck with Hell's Kitchen. I only recently got lucky in Chelsea. They reached out to me to host karaoke at Gym Bar, and it's because of my demeanor, my vibe. Like, I'm very, like, I'm not a bitch. I can be, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But, like, my default is to, like, have a good time and take it easy. And, like, that's what you want as a hostess, as a karaoke hostess. I host a lot of shows because I'm just like, we're all here to have a good time. I'm here to make the bar money.
Right.
And I'm here to entertain.
yeah.
Right.
That's my job. If I'm out here picking on people, why would you want to come back to the bar? Why would you want to come back to my show? But to each their own. You pick how you want to pursue that. But that's just what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I
don't work in Queens either.
Oh, in Queens, yeah.
Queens is very fishy.
Yeah.
Fishy and trans. And so and that's great because the girls need the gigs.
Right.
Yeah.
Last time I was in Queens, I think was like a year or two ago. This performer booked me, Michelle LaFontaine. I was like, well, I'm going to Queens. I got to bring all my Spanish material out. So
Yeah.
I used to live in Maspeth, which was not that far from Jackson Heights. And it's literally a lot of Latinos. So I was like, I'm just going to bring my purple Selena costume and we're going to do Selena all night. But they're like, Selena with a lopsided lip and like hairy arms is not the tea. So I walked out with like $7 in tips. And I was just like, oh, okay. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
crazy.
fucked up. That's real fucked up.
It's crazy.
It's not what they're here for. And I get it's not my crowd.
Yeah.
You don't win them all. And I'm not here to.
Yeah, but I'm like, damn, somebody's out there working their ass off.
Doesn't matter.
Y'all could give $1 to that little boy dancing on the train. You can't throw it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole, and I think that also comes like with people not taking that aspect and not putting the respect on the fucking art and time that it takes to even get into the costume, let alone be running around up and down, dancing and singing and doing shit at the same time.
People don't realize how much can go into drag. And I'm a more budget conscious queen, I must say. I like me a good shake and go. I love me some Rainbow. I love me some Forever 21.
Come on.
But there's girls who invest a lot. I mean, I invest in some of my costumes, but most of my stuff, because I'm so physically, I throw myself on the floor. I'm very like, I'm a clown. I'm also like, the bar is my playground. Right. So like, I'll roll around on the floor. Like I'm not going to do that to like $100, $200, $300 garment.
Right.
So you're going to get me in some Rainbow. You're going to get me in some Forever 21 where like the $20 outfit, if it tears, it tears and I'm good.
Right. Yeah. Wow. There's so much, and there's so much to unpack there, and this conversation can like
it really can,
like
it really
forever. But you know, I think like from the respect in the drag world, but even down to like the way, like I said, even the way bouncers. I just have this thing with bouncers.
Oh yeah,
I get so defensive around bouncers, just like that.
I used to really like. I can say I've only been allowed to a heterosexual club like New York, old like what nightclubs are considered now. Yeah, that have like the whole $100 cover and like promoters and stuff like that. I was allowed into one of those once.
Yeah,
and the craziest thing about it is like, and I say this. Like, I don't know how else to say this other than, and Julissa knows this, like the girls that I was rolling with when I would do this, like go to these places, I would be rolling deep with like model-esque
Yes.
fucking mommy tight, you know,
Together.
tiny, like together.
Like they not
girls
about to pay for one
rolling
fucking
deep, like I was
drink in
the
that
only,
bitch. Not
like
one.
I was the only male in the clique, you
Right.
know. And they'd still, it was only one time that I was let into one of those clubs.
Yeah.
And like,
The excuses are bullshit too, right? Like,
Oh
some of
yeah,
the excuses that they use. Yeah.
because like most of the times it was just me who Dika was. They'd be like, "Oh, y'all could come in, but not him, right?" There was one time where I believe it was. I mean, I don't know if this club even exists anymore. I think it was called Kiss and Fly or some shit like that. In Meatpacking, where it was me and then the black friend and like our black friends that didn't get in, like and like the darker skinned black kids, like not like,
yeah.
you know,
Not the Alicia Keys.
not the Alicia Keys ones that was with us, you know. And so it was like, okay, no fats, no blacks, like,
right.
And it's really on some like, wow, like y'all really, mind you, that night that happened to me, I had a fan stop me and take a picture with me, and there were like 4 kids that stopped me and took pictures with me in front of the bouncer.
Wow.
And they still didn't let me into the club.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, let me ask you this: that one club where you did get in, what was your experience once you got inside?
Oh, it was boring as fuck. It was boring as fuck. Because everybody's standing around trying to look cute.
Right.
Yep.
That's not what I
Nobody's
signed up for.
dancing.
No.
Nobody's really drinking.
I'm trying to
Like
be
y'all got
sweating,
that
looking
bottle
crazy.
service that they charged you $500 for,
A $20
but it's really a
bottle.
$20 bottle, and it only serves you one drink because you're splitting it with 12
With mad
people.
It's shenanigans.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Ridiculous. So if you had a piece of advice for anybody who is like, you know, even in our age group, not even just the young ones out here who are like, you know, trying out drag, like people who are in their late 20s, damn near 30s, and are like, yo, like, you know what? I'm in the phase of my life. I want to start doing some drag because I always have wanted to and just haven't because I feel like I'm going to be shamed in my community. What's your advice to those queens?
Do you figure yourself out? Look up YouTube videos for makeup and figure out what kind of face you want to have. You will think you look fishy as fuck your first time. You will look like trash. But it's fine. It's all a learning process. Do not buy the heels from Rainbow. They are not your friend. Invest in something that will actually support your foot. You will walk funny the first few times. Bring a pair of flats with you. That was a lesson I had to learn the hard way. Bring flats with you because at the end of the night you will not be wanting to walk around those heels anymore.
Yeah.
Me and Vicky, when we used to go out, we used to go to the Ritz on a regular basis.
Oh, the Ritz.
We used to go every Tuesday. There was a show called Saliva.
Saliva Tuesday. Yes. Actually, you know what's funny? I don't know if I saw you there, but
I wasn't a regular, but I was like, Vicky tried to bring me a regular there, and I was like, I don't like this scene, and then I realized this scene is totally my scene.
I had only went once, but the one time that I went was with her name wasn't Monet Exchange at the time, but was with Monet Exchange. Kevin and Bob the Drag Queen had performed that night. Thor J. Thor was hosting, and all these bitches ended up on Drag Race later on.
Real.
But yeah, it was fun. It was such a fun night.
That's when Monet and Jasmine were like
roomies
or something like that.
Yes. Jasmine was there too.
Yeah.
Jasmine wasn't her name at the time either, I don't think.
No, it was.
It's crazy how y'all like be changing your names. I think it's so cool. Oh, you said you weren't going to talk about the one.
Her name was Marble, but I wasn't in the scene at the time. I was just doing like a drag competition here and there.
Okay.
But ARI KIKI's been around the longest. I think Jasmine's name back then was Kimchi Shamulan. They were trying to call her Chinky Crash Car, and I thought it was a funny, fucking hilarious name. Problematic as fuck. But I was like, this is legend. And then she ended up changing her name to Jasmine Rice, and then eventually Jasmine Rice of Asia.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to go to Saliva, and me and Vicky would be like in my Charlotte Russe knee-high boots, like Kiki running around all of Hell's Kitchen. And then at the end of the night, this is before Uber and Lyfts. So then I'd have to like hobble to the A train.
Oh my God.
And like, girl, I'm gonna crash at your house because I can't do this. Like,
wow. Yeah, but that's the hard work and sacrifice nobody knows about and thinks about. Yeah.
pack a flat, pack a sandal. Put some sneakers in your bag, a nice pair of Converse, whatever you need. But like, if you come to one of my gigs, I almost always have a backpack. And literally it's all my drag that I need for the night. And then I throw all my boy clothes in there when I'm out of because I travel to the gig in sweats.
Yeah.
And sneakers.
Right.
Maybe a turban if you're lucky. Like the wig stays in the bag until I need to take her out.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's awesome.
I'm not getting paid to travel. I'm getting paid to perform at the stage.
That's right. You gotta, if you really want to see ARI KIKI, you gotta wait until you in there, you pay the fee, and then you gonna get the show.
Correct.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you. I was just like, all right, that's a good spot. Awesome. Oh, and then I'm sorry, I have to do the outro. That's what we're talking right there. Yeah, just pop it right back on. This is where we're gonna do the shout outs, and you can shout out like what bars you're at and all that. All right, so Ari, any shout outs? Where can we find you?
I'm a very busy lady. But you can find me every Friday at Gym Sports Bar on 8th Avenue. I host karaoke down in the basement. And starting February 28th, I'll be hosting Drag Race before that. Every second Saturday of the month, you can catch me at Stonewall Inn for a Riot, which I host every month. We raise money at the door for charity. And then any money the girls make on stage, they split between themselves. I'm there from 11 to like end of the night. Every first, third, and fourth Saturday of the month, I'm at Phoenix Bar for a party called Rampage with myself, Alana McGriddles, Novazar, and DJ T-Boy. Every second Tuesday of the month, I'm at Guapos in Yonkers.
Yes.
With Angel, Electra, and Shady Pine. You can get my merchandise at dragqueenmerch.com. You can get more information about me on my website, ARI KIKI Hot Mess. If you want to tune into the Shade Parade, you can catch an episode every Friday. It goes live with my sister, Vicky Villaness. And you can get information on that on shadeparadepod.com. And I think I got everything covered. My Instagram is ARI KIKI _hot mess.
Yeah.
My Venmo is ARI KIKI.
Yes.
My Twitter is ARI KIKI _hot mess as well. My phone number is
my grinds name is bottom for you.
And you can find us at Ladies Who Bronche on Instagram and Facebook, at Ladies Bronche on Twitter, and on all the podcast shit y'all listen to. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank y'all for tuning in. And until next time, Bronche.